How's it going, guys? This is Gabriel from Hackjobs Performance. This is Alex from Hackjobs Performance. We just started a new podcast, Hacked Up Podcast. First episode, we're going to talk about how the shop started, our backgrounds, the shop's backgrounds, and kind of go from there and, see where it goes. If you guys are interested, like and subscribe. That'd be great. Anyways, so how's it going, man?
That's what people do.
They go like that.
Like, I'm going to put a little
like and
thing
subscribe
right there.
Well, we're learning. This is our first podcast. We don't know what we're doing. I don't know what I'm doing. I don't even think he knows what he's doing. But we're pretending real well.
I'm a little buzzed.
Are you?
Not going to lie.
That's the whole point.
Yeah. The video is brought to you in part by good old-fashioned American whiskey.
Anyways, so what's up? How's it going? What's new?
Well, it's been, almost a year?
Yeah.
Next month?
Next month it'll be a year since we closed up the big shop.
Yeah.
We kind of been both doing our own thing. He works in the corporate America world now. I built a very small shop.
Yeah.
So kind of taking things a little step by step. Not trying to do anything crazy right now, I guess. So what's up?
Not much, man. Like, just working.
Working.
A lot more time than what we were doing at the shop. Naturally, just
you working more than what you did at the shop?
I mean, that's maybe slightly more. I don't know. That's depends on who you ask.
Wow.
Yeah.
All right.
Hands are definitely still not getting dirty.
Well, it depends on who you ask. If you have anybody at the shop, you know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Anyways, so where are you originally from? These people want to know.
You trying to gangbang on me?
No, we're not trying to gangbang because this is a YouTube show.
Oh, okay. So,
you're trying to get gangbanged? Is that what you said?
No. I was asking you. I was just being polite.
Oh, shit.
Yeah. So, to answer your question, originally or
originally, you're obviously from California. You can tell by the schmuckish look on your face.
So,
no offense to California people.
That is very racist.
Racist, wow. Yeah. We can't get into race.
No, I like to race. That's why.
Oh, you like to race?
Yes.
I misheard that.
Yeah. So, originally from Southern California, a small town called Hemet. Grew up there pretty much all my life. I did a little bit of growing. Well, I did a lot of growing, if you can see. Originally from Hemet. Moved out of here in 2006. It was pretty nice back then. High school. I think that's about my high school. My senior year, I think, is when we met, actually.
Yeah, I think we met, 07, 08? 08 maybe?
I would say probably on the early spurts of 08. Around that time, that's when I got my car, my Firebird. That's...
Yeah, so I'm originally from South Phoenix. We're both located in Glendale, Peoria area. We met 08 at local racing. Was 43rd and Bell. Was it Romero's?
That was a Romero's, yeah.
Romero's. I got catcalled by a couple. I can't say that word, so we're gonna say a couple people catcalled me and my cousin. We were driving third gens. They were driving third gens. They actually had a big ass group of third gens.
I wouldn't call it a big group, but we had a predominantly large group of F-body enthusiasts, we can say.
Was it GM Street Kings?
Yeah, we don't got to bring up old stuff, man. Yeah. But yeah, it was, we had a car club, and it was, a bunch of us younger guys at the time. I mean, we're still young. I'm still young. I don't know about you. You look old. I mean, that's just me. But, it was... I think that night it was just me and the other person.
Oh, we'll get into that later. We don't want to get into that right now.
Yeah, I mean, long story short, I think that's where we met up.
Yeah.
That's what I remember anyways.
Right, I think so. When racing was great.
Well, I mean, it depends on who you were hanging out with, I guess, at the time. I know back in that particular racing scene was it was a real mixture of like your imports and domestics.
Yeah, maybe a lot of the old school guys probably remember those days.
I remember, yeah. I mean, the guys that I know, anyways, that I've basically grew up with in the street racing scene. They were in a different scene, but that's just because of the caliber of car that they would have had back then versus, I guess, now. But that goes for everybody. I mean, back then I remember, man, back then 12 seconds was a pretty big thing back then.
I thought 14s were fast back then, to be honest, but
okay, well,
that was me.
To each their own.
I was a Honda guy.
To each their own.
Yeah.
To each their own. Yeah.
So what originally got you into cars?
I guess I would say my dad. Growing up, my dad was always he worked as a body guy in a GM dealership. It was a Chevy dealership. Where I grew up, Hemet and Paris kind of was like how Glendale and Peoria is. They're just butted up cities and stuff like that. I just remember as a kid growing up, he'd always bring random cars that either he was working on or I don't know how he stumbled upon these, but at a very young age, I remember looking at a car, whether if it was like a fire truck or whatever, and I would always think of beyond what it was. That piqued my interest as far as like the mechanical wise. So like, I guess you can say like an example would be, I remember as a kid, we went to a field trip to the fire department back in Paris, where I also grew up in. Paris is a little ghetto town, yeah. Shout out Paris, you know what I'm saying?
Like ghetto town, you said? Is that what you said?
It's a little ghetto town, yeah.
No disrespect to anybody in Paris.
No disrespect. That's my hometown. But the Paris Fire Department, we had a field trip there, and I remember they were doing hoses, like you could spray the hose, and I don't know why they gave us little kids, I guess it was the 90s, whatever, they had a lot more faith in us, but we were holding the fire hose and everything, and I'd always think of like, why is there so much pressure in there, like why is it fighting me, and I just had a lot of questions going through my head when I was when I would look at that kind of stuff.
Like, or a little start of being a gearhead or something like that.
I guess you could say that, yeah. And then with my toys that I would get, I'd always disassemble them and try to put them back together.
Yeah, I was similar. Did you ever do the model cars? I remember I used to build model cars.
I tried to get into that, but I never could keep focus, and then I would just move on to the next
That
thing.
makes sense.
Wow. But
so that started at a really young age.
Well,
too.
I'm just saying that was maybe a little bit of ADHD, at a young age. I don't know.
Before it existed.
Yeah, I guess. Well, no, I don't know, but yeah, I mean, I guess the spark my interest was my dad. Yeah, for sure, 100%.
Yeah, that's kind of the same with me. My dad always was into building lowriders. He was into the 50s bombs and stuff like that, and being around the lowrider scene constantly kind of wasn't my thing, because it was like when you hear a song too much and you're like, it
was really normal, and you just wanted something different, kind of thing.
I kind of got into more of the hot rod Honda, like more racing scene. I guess that would be more realistic. It wasn't
Honda a hot rod, but whatever.
Yeah, that's why I said I put Honda and hot rod in two different categories, but it was more the racing scene, I guess, because at a young age, my older cousin was kind of into racing. He had a few buddies that were into racing. They had Hondas and stuff, and I remember we were out at Deer Valley and like the old cemetery back there.
Yeah, passing the airport.
And Budweiser, we were out there before the first Fast and the Furious. So I don't know what year that came out, 01 or 02 or
it's a long
03.
time ago, yeah.
So we were out there before then, but I was a kid. I was 10 or 11, or I don't even know how old I was. But he was old enough to drive.
18,
so,
yeah.
I think we're 7 years apart. Huh?
What?
So we were out there, whatever, and then the first Fast and the Furious came out, and I remember seeing the preview, and I was like, they're doing what we do. So I remember I wanted to see it so bad. I was like, I want to see the first one. The first one was good. You can't deny the first one.
No, the first one's good. I like the first one. I remember the previews to that too, and it's so funny how like where you're growing up and your environment. I grew up, I've always had, like I said, I've always had an interest in cars. Right. Around that time, I mean, shit, I thought the Corvette was like the fastest thing on the planet, and then you couldn't do anything to it.
Besides, like,
to make it faster. Yeah, it was like you put a muffler on it to sound louder, and boom, you're fast, and you could beat anything, And that was me, so ignorant about the whole car scene. But I remember that and looking at the previews and stuff, and I was like, "What the heck are those cars?" I didn't know what the heck those cars were.
Yeah. Well, everybody starts somewhere. You don't even know what you're looking at back when you're.
Well, yeah, but what I'm saying is like I couldn't tell you what a Chevelle was in 2001. I couldn't tell you. Well, I knew what a Chevelle was, but what I'm saying is like the difference, like what a Nova was, a Chevelle, like especially like the early '70s, late '60s, early '70s Chevelle Novas. They kind of had that stink bug, fastback kind of look, and that always threw me off and stuff like that. So when that movie came out with a bunch of Hondas and stuff, and funny thing, they actually filmed part of that movie in Hemet.
Huh, yeah, that's funny.
Yeah, so the scene where they had chased the big rig in the desert or whatever, and they were hopping off from the Supra and stuff like that, that was filmed in Hemet. And I remember specifically when that movie came out, the Hemet was, back then, it was super, 8 o'clock, all the stores were shut down, Main Street was like...
Oh, so it was a small town.
It's small. Well, I mean, it was a smallish town.
Small big town.
Small big town. Yeah. I mean, it was.
I get it. Like in the early '90s, mid '90s, South Phoenix was the same. It was kind of rough, but it was also kind of like a small town feel because you had the river, dividing Phoenix from South Phoenix.
I see what you're saying. Yeah.
And Levine was real small, so you had a lot of farmers out there, and then you also had the gangs and stuff. But for the most part, it was like a small big town kind of.
I would imagine there was a lot more farmland back then too.
Oh, it was.
Yeah.
Orange trees and everything down baseline, and
what a time to be alive. What a time to be alive. But yeah, kind of going back to what I was saying, the feel of like when. And I thought it was normal because I grew up like that, where everything was, if you were out 9 o'clock cruising down the main street, which was called Florida Avenue, and you were just driving by. There's 2-3 cars out, and you had your stoplights, but everything was always green on the main street because nobody was coming into the. But after that movie happened, you started seeing a bunch of these little Hondas going around, and the local meetup spot. The meetup spot, we had an In-N-Out Burger, the only one in town. It's still there. They all would meet up right there, and it was different. It was definitely not an eye opener, but it was just like, holy crap,
Yeah, like what's going on?
This is like, what is that? And to me, I didn't know what those real cars were. I just was like, okay, well, that's a car. It's got 4 wheels and whatever. I was just like super like. I liked cars and I liked the shiny stuff, and what was his name? Boyd Coddington was a real big name.
Yeah.
When I was growing up, especially like in Southern Cal. That was.
So what? I mean, we're probably skipping a little ahead from this, but you bought a Boyd Coddington. Like what's like one of your idols? Like
idols?
Like you seen him building cars and you were like, I want to be like that guy. Like, I mean, do you have one of those?
I'm not gonna say he's my idol, but I mean, what really was like what I started to think of like what I want to do, and start the whole dream kind of thing of like, oh, this would be like my dream job.
Yeah.
I mean, was that American Hot Rod TV show?
It was Boyd.
Oh yeah, 100%. Like I thought
you're old.
Okay. Yeah, says the guy who's older than me by like a century. Yeah.
Boyd?
But I mean, Boyd was cool. I mean, I didn't, and it sucks because I feel like with the years and when you talk to people and different generations and stuff like that, it's like I feel like I missed out on who that person was. I just liked them because it was a TV show, and then later on you get to really when you educate yourself on some stuff like that, it's like, holy crap, that guy was actually a really badass person. I'm sure as a person,
he seemed mean.
Yeah, he seemed mean, but I'm just saying,
guy,
I mean, whatever, it is what it is. But that sparked up like the whole shop and building cars and and especially that show because of how my dad was. It really reminded me of how my dad's work environment, because we would go visit him time to time, and it was similar because of the body shop area, right? So the guys were always dusty and they had their tools and stuff like that. And I always thought that was the coolest shit, because I was like, my dad is like the coolest person in the world. I still think he's the coolest person in the world. But I mean, it's with the tools and stuff like that, and he'd always show me like hey, like
I'm doing this. This is what I'm doing.
Yeah, exactly. So I was like the coolest thing in the world. And when that show aired, I was like, holy fuck, this is like what my dad does. And I'm like, holy shit, my dad's if my dad's doing it, then this thing's really fucking cool.
Yeah.
But I would say that's really what kind of kicked off, like, I want to do something like this.
Sparked your interest.
Yeah, I really want to do that. And everybody wants to be a firefighter when they grow up as either a boy or girl, whatever. Or trans, I guess is what you can say lately.
Anyways. Yeah, that's kind of cool. Talking about like how your dad used to like be like, oh, I do this, and you kind of seen it. I talking about my dad building lowriders, but my stepdad growing up, he was actually into paint and body too, but he was more body, and then he would do the finishing work, the cut and buff or whatever.
Okay.
But when my mom and him first got together, we actually moved to California for a little bit. I was little. I was 3, 4, but I remember. We were in the San Bernardino, Yucaipa-ish area.
Mm-hmm. Inland Empire.
Yeah. And he was working as a body guy at that time. So he would take my little Hot Wheels and he would paint them and put custom paint jobs on them for me.
Wow.
As a stepdad. And they'd probably been together maybe a year, if that, even at that point. And, we had a big earthquake there. At that time, I think that was the earthquake that flattened the 2 freeways, if I'm not mistaken.
So this is like 94, is what you're saying?
Yeah, probably around there.
You old as fuck.
Yeah, so flattened the.
Mm-hmm.
So that scared us back. My mom was like, "Nope, not living in California. We're getting back to Arizona, where it's good weather, no earthquakes, no tornadoes.
I don't know about good weather.
Just heat.
It's just heat. I haven't gotten used to the heat.
Yeah, no one ever gets used to the heat.
I think you just kind of live with it. So.
Yeah. But so that's that. Let's see what else we got here. How'd you get into cars? What was your first car?
My very first car?
Yeah, what was your first car?
Was a Hot Wheels 1990. I'm just kidding. My first car that I ever drove with a license, kind of thing.
Well, I mean, I drove a lot of cars with no license. So.
I mean, yeah. You gotta be more specific, man.
Yeah, your first like your car, your very first car, not like oh, you drove this car or whatever. So I've driven a lot of cars. My grandma had I don't even know what the first car I drove was, but the first car that I remember driving by myself was a '95 Thunderbird V8, and I was like 11, 12.
Busted ass Ford.
No, it was new back then. What the hell? That was like 99 when I first started driving. It was a 95, so it was only like 4 years old. It was brand new. It was still a Ford though. You're right.
Hey, whatever.
What was your actual first car?
My first car.
Your car.
My car was a 1986 Pontiac Firebird.
In 86.
86.
So that's not the Firebird you have now.
It's not the Firebird, no.
I think that was the first car that I met you in that car.
You met me in that car, yeah.
But it was white.
Yeah, it was white. It was white with a busted interior. We had put some sheepskin, like fur coat. Yeah, it was bad. But I mean, it was better than the tore up. Like you get in there and you're stained up, kind of. Like
it was still better than my car. I feel like first car.
I thought it was the coolest thing in the world. My dad got me that car.
It was V6, wasn't that car V6?
It was a 2.8. Yeah, it was V6.
Was it stick?
No, it was automatic. If it was stick, it would have been way cooler.
Yeah, 'cause my cousin had an '88 with a 2.8 stick when we met you guys.
Yeah, the great one.
But it was stick,
Yeah, so I would have killed for a stick, but I mean, and even then, I was a senior in high school. I still was like so, like, just not mechanically savvy.
Yeah, senior in high school.
I didn't know anything. I had a problem with it one time, and I had to rely on my dad's buddy who was like a mechanic or whatever, some like, just some Mexican dude or whatever, and whatever. It's Arizona. They're everywhere.
Yeah. Oh, jeez.
I had a water pump issue. It led to being a water pump issue, and I pop open the hood and I'm like, holy crap, where the hell's a water pump? And I had to rely on him. I mean, granted, he hooked me up, whatever, and I was back on the road. Now it's like,
it's cake.
Yeah, it's cake. I'm not gonna say I can like build engines or whatever, but
But you've built a lot of engines.
I put together a lot of engines. Yeah.
I think my first car was an '89 Cadillac DeVille. I've always been a Cadillac guy.
No wonder you like
Hondas and Cadillacs.
Southern music.
Yeah, you know what I'm saying? Sitting back in a Cadillac.
Sick.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't hold on to that car too long though. I drove it around in high school, and one day I remember during a football game, one of my cousin's friends, Haiti, my cousin.
Yeah.
One of her friends approached me during the football game, and I had known she had gotten a Firebird, the car, that car prior. I just from like, hey, somebody else has a car like yours. Oh, really? That's cool.
Oh, so they went to school with you?
Yeah, they went to school with me. So
the car you have now?
The car that I have now, yeah. So
I don't know that.
Yeah, and so I heard that, and they're all like, oh, you should go check it out. It looks like yours. It's pretty cool. And I'm like, oh, sweet, cool. Another car like mine. Whatever.
Yeah.
But she approached me one day, and like, hey, how's it going? Blah, blah, blah. And then flat out was like, hey, do you want to buy my car? And I'm like, I had no job at the time. And I'm like, let me go look at it first. Yeah. And I'm like, okay, what the fuck am I gonna do with this? So I went down to her house. She lived in the neighborhood where I currently live at. Just like kind of in the neighborhood, whatever.
Yeah.
And just one day I just made some time and went over there, and we checked out the car, and it was there, the car that I got now, and in all its glory.
And all its what is it, a 91?
It was a 91, yeah.
Oh, it's all its 91 glory.
And all its 91 glory.
Or something.
Yeah. Like I mean, I didn't think it was that old at the time, but whatever. But I saw the car, and I instantaneously was like, I gotta have this thing. What sold me on it was a V8. It was a 305 boat anchor now, but
hey, but that's what you wanted back in the day.
I was like, oh my gosh, it's a V8. It's a real hot rod, I'm like, oh my god, hell yeah. And back then when I got my car, I got so into it. I was like, man, started getting into the whole third gen thing and second gen thing, the whole
F body
thing. Yeah. So my mullet was growing,
That's kind of similar to how I got my car. So my cousin with the gray Firebird. Mm-hmm. So he was looking to buy his first car. I had already had my Cadillac, but he was looking for his first car, and he was like, yeah, I only have so much, this and that, blah blah. We're looking on, I think at that time, Craigslist, maybe, even if that.
Maybe not.
I think it was Craigslist and Auto Trader. I think Craigslist was already out, I think, and we were already in the racing scene or whatever. We weren't racing, but we were out there, and he was like, I don't know what I want. I just need something that I can afford. And I seen this '88 Firebird, and it was listed for, I think it was $900.
Wow.
Yeah, and I was like, look, man, this is a Firebird. This is like at that time it was the 4th gens. The 4th gen Camaro and Firebird were out there, and they were tearing everything up. The LSs were brand new. No one really.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, so they were just tearing everything up. I was like, look, this is a Firebird, but this is the older one of what all those cars are out there tearing everybody up. And he's like, really? And I'm like, yeah. It was V6, so obviously it wasn't.
Well, you didn't know any better.
Yeah. So we went and looked at it. He bought it. Whatever. So we were always in his car in the racing scene, messing around, this and that. But I had always wanted a third gen after that. After he got his, and we were, out there, and I was like, you know what I really want? I really want a 5.7 350, 5-speed, red with black stripes. Later on down, I was always searching for that car and chasing that car. Oh. Then later on, I found out they don't exist.
What a loser.
So I ended up stumbling across my car, the car I have now. It was my second car, high school car. I looked in the newspaper.
And what is that?
Looked in the newspaper?
No. What kind of car do you have?
Oh, I have an 88 Camaro.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, shut up.
That's crazy.
Featured in Holly. Anyways.
He thinks one time at LS Fest, and he gets his shot and he blows it.
I mean, we've been to every LS Fest I think that's ever happened. West.
Yeah.
Still on Holly. Anyways. So I found the car in the newspaper, and I didn't have no money. I was in high school, so I went and looked at it. Looked at the car. I was like,
naturally, you're gonna go look at it.
No money.
Hell yeah. That was that meme. It's
I had a for sale sign on my Cadillac. I was like,
through the car ads parts with $20 and $7.
That was me. I didn't even think I had $20, but I was like, I'm going. So I went. It was a older guy, and I think he probably knew I didn't have the money, because I'm looking at it, this and that, whatever, and I'm
He's
like,
all, what's this fucking schmuck?
Yeah, probably. And I was like, can I test drive it? He's all, no. I'm like, no. He's all, I'll drive it, and you can ride in it. What? But I was a kid, so I was like, okay, I don't care, whatever. So he drove it. He got on it. I asked him. I was like, "Is it good on gas?"
Oh my god!
Being a schmuck, and he's like, "Oh, whatever. It's all right. All right, whatever."
Well,
so went back, had all my dreams up, and I had a for sale sign on my Cadillac at that time, and I was trying to get rid of it, but no one wanted that junk. So I was so excited, and I was wanting this car, and I'm like, how am I gonna get this car? I have no money.
Broke as fuck.
Nothing. I shouldn't even have looked at it, because now my hopes are up. So went to the bank. Well, actually, my grandma helped me go to the bank and get a loan. So I get a loan.
You got a loan out for this car?
For the Cadillac.
Oh, okay.
It was like a collateral loan. I had to put the
I see, a title loan.
Yeah, kind of something like that.
Ghetto as fuck.
Yeah, and then I don't know the statutes limitations of how I didn't get to pay the car back, so I'm not going to mention that. But I think I didn't have to pay that loan back because they sent me the title back. Anyways.
I mean, that's neither here nor there.
Yeah. So anyways, so I ended up getting the money, going back, buying the car, right? Mm-hmm. I bought the car.
You're talking about the Camaro?
The Camaro.
Okay.
I bought the car.
So you had two cars?
At that time.
Damn, balling.
Yeah. No, okay. I wasn't. So my luck was about to get turned upside down. So I went to my cousin's house after I bought the car.
Right.
In Glendale. It was like, at that time, I think it was 67th in Maryland or something.
Right.
Stopped, went in, bragged a little bit, and then I drove out to my other cousin's house with the third gen. He lived in Surprise at that time. Mm-hmm. So that's 30-minute drive. I was over there.
30 minutes back then. Okay, that's good.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know. It was in the middle of nowhere back then. So drove out there. I was out there till like midnight. I had bought the car like at 5. So I was out there till midnight. I drove it back home I lived in apartments with my mom at that time. Went to sleep, woke up for school, super hyped up. I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna drive my high school. I'm gonna drive this car to high school, and everybody's gonna be jocking, right? It was gone.
What a loser!
Someone stole it the first day I bought it. I hadn't even owned it 24 hours before it got stolen.
Oh wow!
I was so devastated. I was like, so. Me thinking like a schmuck, right? I jumped in my Cadillac because I still had it.
Oh hell yeah!
And I'm driving, not even. So I'm driving down Old Town Glendale, and I'm looking through people's houses, like I want to find it. They found it, but it was a couple days later.
Wow. Well,
They found it in Avondale. Any of you Avondale people, you probably stole it. Anyways, so it overheated and broke down, and they dumped it.
trusty old 305.
But they put a stereo in it. It didn't have stereo. So I came up, kind of.
Wow.
Some crackheads put a stereo in it. Yeah. So that was my first car.
A lot better story than my first car.
Yeah, it's not.
Or second car, I guess is what you could say.
Well, yeah, second car. This is my high school car.
I mean, I consider both of those cars my high school cars because I had them in high school. But I finished off with the one that we have now. So.
Yeah.
But yeah. Anyways.
So what about the car scene back then? I think we already went over that kind of a little bit.
I mean, yeah, I don't know. The car scene back then compared to how it is now, I've been out of the game like
we got it. Take your time.
Are we getting rushed?
No. She was gonna make us another drink.
Oh.
I think, right? No.
Oh.
All right, I guess.
Oh, I guess we'll be right back after these messages.
We'll keep going.
Oh, okay.
Give me your cup.
Oh, thanks.
No more ice.
Ice.
Oh.
You freaking weirdo. We're leaving this in just so you know.
Pull out game, not strong. You know what I'm saying?
Apparently, you got stuck like a fucking dog. Anyways, so the car scene back then was definitely way more fun.
I mean, as far as like actual like, you know, you get in your car that you're gonna go race and stuff like that, and you had, in my opinion, some competition and stuff like that. That was
at that time. I had no competition.
I was immediately hooked after I got the second fight, the one that we have now.
Yeah.
I was like, I got a V8. I didn't make this thing fucking fast, so I went to the junkyards naturally. Went and looked for chips for the computer. Found me a little jet chip. Put that thing in.
You remember when SRT4s were fast?
Yeah.
You can't say that SRT4s weren't fast back in the day.
I remember when I used to think
Fox Body's been fast. They're fast today, but they were fast then.
it was depending on who you ran into, I think. And like I was saying earlier, it was like depending on the scene, you know what I mean? Like the scene that I would go to, that I knew of anyways, it was just filled with a bunch of Hondas and stuff like that. And some like Mustangs and stuff like that, but nothing like if
Hondas
you had a Fox
weren't
body.
crazy fast back then. They were decent.
Thank you.
But they weren't like super fast.
In my opinion, back then, yes, they were. I mean,
there was some little what were they? LS VTEC, little hatchback Hondas, no exhaust, just broken windows, and
I remember the EG hatch was like, if you had one of those, and if you had the B series engine in it, you were like the shit in the Honda scene.
Right.
But then on the flip side, if you're in the domestic scene, if you had something LS or even like a hopped up 5.0, you know what I mean? It was like
the 5.0s were crazy.
Yeah. Well, Fox Body 5.0, you know? And it was like you were big dog, you know, and you couldn't be touched. I was always broke, and
same.
I couldn't afford nothing, so that's why I was always at the junkyards and seeing what I can find to put together.
At that time there was a black SRT4. If you're somewhere out there,
What's his name?
just I don't know the guy's name. I just seen it. He was out there beating crotch rockets. At that time, that was like unheard of.
I think I remember this black SRT4.
And then there was
some like skinny white kid.
I don't remember. No. I never seen the driver. He was always just gapping people.
Dying.
And there was also a Saturn out there. It was like one of those weird looking Saturns.
A Saturn Ion, a blue color.
It was before the Ions. It was like tan, and it had a bunch of bumper stickers in the back. And he used to destroy a lot of people. But back then, who knows? He was probably a 15-second car destroying people. But I remember he was beating everybody. The SRT4, there was a white convertible Eclipse. That was
I remember
fast.
the white. Yeah, I remember that car at the graveyard.
Yeah, I remember him on the street.
This was like in 2008, 9.
Yeah. That guy was fast.
I remember that car. That car was stupid fast.
There was a girl out there that had a Grand Prix, a supercharged Grand Prix or something like that, and she was fast back then. It was an older Grand Prix, supercharged. I remember she was super fast, and there was another one. There was a 4th gen Camaro. It was pewter colored, and it was pretty fast. And I remember they'd go down by Deer Valley Airport when everybody would park on the side of the street right there, and they had a sign hanging. The passenger would have a sign out the window saying, "Come get some."
Sick.
Yeah, but he was fast. So I don't know if you guys are out there. Just know I looked up to you.
Hell yeah.
So what about building your car? Let's get into like the car you have now. Just, like actually building it back then. One of the first 3rd gens in Arizona, LS swapped.
I mean, I thought anyways. At the time, really.
Well, I guess you probably the 350 started first, right?
Yeah, the 350. Well, the 350 started because of necessity. It was not necessity, but kind of necessity. So the car was my only means of transportation for the very long time. A very long time, rather. And one the summer of 2010 is where it all started.
Yeah, I was already
I don't know, whatever.
I was like 2 kids in by then.
Wow.
Maybe even 3.
I was probably more than this and whiskeys back then. But anyways. So yeah, 2009, 2010 is when I did a boo-boo in the car, and I did an intake manifold replacement because I had leaky intake gasket, so I was puking out a bunch of coolant, right? I had to trip up to California, and I was taking the car because I was like, it was a good running car. The car had AC, everything. The car was nice back then.
Must be nice.
It was great.
Talking about who's balling.
It was okay. I paid $900 for that.
My car didn't have AC.
Well, that's because you're, broke.
Oh, apparently.
Yeah. But anyways. So I did the repair, and this is when I started kind of getting more confident in doing stuff and blah, 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 whatever. And I didn't put enough silicone in between the intake manifold. So on a small block Chevy, you got to put silicone or
on the back or on the front,
and the front and the back, yeah, in order to fully seat the intake manifold when you do intake gaskets or whatever, or if you're taking whatever. So my dumbass just kind of put silicone, and I was like that,
little thin layer,
and I was like, mint, send it, and off I went. And yeah, like 20 miles to quartzsite, my oil pressure gauge was like pegged at 0, and I was like, oh my god. I pull over, and that's when the whole debacle started. And anyways, I ended up towing the car back home after that weekend. And thankfully, I had purchased a small block. It was a 350, and from one of my buddies, he told me it was supposedly like I think it was a 4-bolt main deal, used, whatever. And it was cool because I was like, hell yeah, I can build it slow, kind of do my thing.
Everybody wanted a 4-bolt main back then.
Well, yeah, I mean, I guess you still kind of do if you're still.
No one wants a small block nowadays.
I mean, it depends on who you ask.
I guess.
There's still people out there, purists, and or if that's what you know.
Everybody wants a Pro Charge Hemi nowadays.
Yeah, that's your baller.
Yeah, I know, right?
But yeah, so I bought that, and then with the hopes of just building it slow, and then that weekend happened, and then holy crap, I need to start putting this thing together so I can have a car back together. And at the time, I had the great idea of putting a 5-speed in the car, because who didn't want a 350 with a 5-speed, right?
Well, yeah, that was what I wanted.
Yeah, so ended up making it happen. And then at the same time, it was like, well, can we make it go fast? It's 350. It's like, okay, cool. So eBay was my friend for a while. So that ended up getting a heads cam.
Junkyard, probably.
Yeah, so heads cam, 350, put that behind or in front of a T5. Real sketchy stuff. And what was the best thing I did was I went out street racing, and the same scene that I started off with, I thought, I was out. This happened with it was a full year that I was down, and I didn't go out to the car scene or whatever. And then when the car got back up and running, it was a heads and cam pro. I think Pro Comp was the heads, so aluminum heads, and I did some camshaft that I don't know where we got it from, but whatever. And we put a carburetor on it. Started learning how to tune, I guess is what you can say. I never really fully succeeded at that, but got it to where it could run.
I think you did a 12 in that car though, didn't you?
I ended up doing 12,
so
like a 12.7.
You tuned it pretty good, I think.
But in the street racing scene, that became like, in my world, anyways, it was like the fastest thing out there. I was kicking ass. All these little turbo Hondas that ended up coming out of the woodworks, and I would just leave them in the dust and everything, and that's when it's like my whole addiction of like really wanting to go fast really started happening, and made a lot of poor life decisions because of that. Yes. But anyways, yeah.
So then you got into the so what happened to the small block? It blew up or
no? The small block still lived, and sold it to another friend of a friend of mine. He wanted it for his Nova.
Oh, you're talking about Jose Crackhead, yeah. We'll get into Crackhead because Crackhead's he'd been around for a while. He was Honda scene.
Yeah,
he was Honda scene.
Crackheads are everywhere. You know what I'm saying?
No, he's a crackhead. He's the crackhead.
Yeah. So,
anyways, he's been around for a while. I think
so,
we'll get into him in a different episode, I think.
Sure. Yeah. But anyway, so not to get into that too crazy, but yeah, he ended up buying that motor off of me. He gave me some money, and he told me, he's like, "Hey, I got this other type of motor that I can give you along with some cash." And I was like, "What the fuck is it?" And he said it was like some motor out of a truck. And I was like, "All right, whatever, cool. Yeah, let's do it." And come to find out, it was a 6-liter Iron LS, LQ4 is what it was. And I got it out from some dude's backyard in like South Phoenix, and it was just covered in a bunch of rust, and the heads were off, and all this other stuff. So, it was me and Alejandro that picked it up, and got it cleaned up, and lo and behold, that started the whole LS journey into what we ended up doing. I'd say
with the car. I remember
started off with the shop and everything. So
yeah, I remember when I ran into you guys. Well, I think I ran into him first after years, and then I ran into you maybe a few months later because of him. And I seen your car LS swapped, and I was like, "That's what I want to do." But you were already like there. And I was like,
jealousy.
Yeah, I was like, I'm so mad. But my car, I had blew the original motor in high school. I think I'd had the car for a year, and I knew how to change oil at that time and do basic stuff. But I took the car to a little like quick lube place to change the oil, and I don't know if they didn't put oil or they put too light of oil and it burned it, or I don't know what. So I ended up running the original 305 dry, and it seized the motor. So the car had sat for like a year.
Always.
Yeah. So I graduated. I was going to graduate high school.
You didn't graduate high school?
Oh, I did graduate high school, but it was before I graduated.
I graduated.
So I did too, but my graduation present from my mom and my stepdad is they bought me a new motor for that car. 5-star engines right there in Glendale.
5-star Glendale, yeah.
They put a new 305 in it, and I had the car running before I graduated, and then it ran, and that was my kind of like my daily. I think I had 2 kids rolling in that thing.
This is back when you lived over there by the apartments then.
Yeah, that was like my only car. I remember it was a struggle to put the rear hatch shocks on it, but I needed to because we were getting groceries and I was tired of holding it. broke days. So I was like, yeah, really. I was like, I got these new hatch shocks. I don't have to hold it no more. That was like a big deal. But I remember I was working at an auto parts store, you know, as time went by, and Alejandro went in there. He was
A regular.
Yeah, regular, kind of like almost a commercial customer, but at that time he wasn't. He just worked on a bunch of stuff. And then I remember you had came in with your car, and it was Alice swapped, and I was like, oh, the jealousy. I was like, I've been wanting to do this. I'm like, give me a couple. I think I told you, I was like, give me a couple years. I was like,
I'll find a picture we could maybe edit it in here.
Yeah.
How it looked.
I'm gonna be smoking you, and you're like, yeah, not never.
Still.
Well, we haven't put that to the test yet. We're about to.
Too
soon.
scared. Too scared.
I'm not scared. You're scared.
Yeah, I'm scared.
My car's probably gonna blow up. It's with Chris right now.
Oh, Chris.
He's not even in the garage. He's at Modern getting tuned.
I seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's probably gonna blow up. We'll see.
Either way.
If not, I'll be at with Brandon at what is it? Coltar, King of the Open Roads.
King of the Open
Yeah.
Roads, yeah.
Going from Tucson to Tombstone and all that.
Mm-hmm.
If it don't blow up, we'll see. But yeah, so that's the background on your car build. What's your background? We got that. How the shop started.
That's an interesting topic.
Yeah, that one we're gonna. I guess the name already came up a little bit, and we're gonna go through that. So how the name happened. That's more. I guess that's more me than you.
I would say so, yeah, because I think you're the one who actually came up with the name to begin with.
So I guess we'll go over that, and then we'll do the, and how the shop started, shop growth, and all that. So pretty much how the name came about is Alejandro was La, if for some people that know him.
I gave him that nickname.
Yeah. The
it was a very drunken night, and yeah.
So anybody that does know him from back in the day, I guess I don't know how many of the new people know him, but he would come in to the auto parts store that I worked in. He was working on a bunch of junk, and he would, I'd be, oh, what you working on today? And I'd known him from way back, back then when we all had met.
Yeah.
But I'd re-met him, and he's I'm just working on another junk, this and that. And I kept going, this and that, and he'd come in and he'd be, I'm just working on a hack job, just doing another hack job, this and that. All right, whatever. So one day, I was a manager there, so I was like, man, you should open up a commercial account. Well, you're always in here. I was like, open up a commercial account. And he's like, it's all right, yeah. He's like, you don't need no paperwork? I was like, no, you don't need no paperwork. All right, cool. So setting it up, this and that, I'm like, well, what do you want to call it? He's like, I don't know. He's like, I don't really think about what to call it. He's like, it needs a name? I'm like, yeah, it needs a name. I was like, I got to put something in there. He's like, I don't know. And I was like, you're always talking about, I'm just doing another hack job. I was like, you should call it Hackjobs. He's like, whatever. He's like, I don't care. Just put something in there.
That's how he always was. Like, I don't care. Whatever.
So I was like, cool. I'm gonna put it in there. And it was a joke. It was never supposed to go nowhere. So I had known him, but I had barely met him.
Yeah.
Again, I had barely met you again. And then it kind of escalated from there.
Well, see, I remember when that whole commercial account thing happened was because, or around that time, where he had you had set that up, and it was cheaper to get parts and stuff.
Oh, yeah.
So
That's why I was like, dude, you need to open it.
And I was like, that's fucking sick. And at that time, I was working for a call center. So I remember talking to him about potentially, because he was still doing a bunch of side work out of his old house back in that area. And I saw the opportunity in it, and I told him, I was like, why don't we open up like a small little shop, And I had mentioned this to him prior to any of this happening.
Right.
And I was like, why don't we open up a shop? We'll split it, down the middle, whatever, or whatever kind of percentage. I was like, I can fund it using my day job, and then if I can go in there at night or whatever, or even if not even that, I can just get like a cut, whatever, and we can make something happen. Because, like I said earlier, like my like that American Hot Rod show, that was like kind of sparked up what I wanted to do, and ultimately I wanted to own or run my own little performance or custom shop, you know, and that was like, to me, that's my dream, whatever, and that's what I want to do. And I brought it up to him, and he was like, yeah, you know, and you know how he was like, yeah, we'll see, yeah, whatever. Yeah. And I didn't think nothing of it, because I was like, I brought it up, put it to the table.
Well, that was years prior.
This was also. I would say it was like at least a couple, or like maybe two or three years. Yeah, before we actually got down to the nitty gritty and stuff like that. Yeah. And then when everything started to roll around, and I was like, hell yeah, you know, like this is actually starting to make, you know, it's kind of exciting.
Yeah. You know? So like that happened. So he was working out of his house.
Yep. Starting to make a name for himself.
Starting to a little bit, but he didn't actually venture into the LS world at all at that time. He was doing small block.
You're talking about earlier.
Yeah, earlier, before that. Yeah. So he was eventually venturing into, well, he was doing small block for sure. And he had asked me one day, it was raining, and he's like, man, I'm supposed to pull this engine out of my car. He's like, I got it sold. He's like, but it's raining, this and that. And I was like, well, we can do it at my house. I got a garage, and I got a cherry picker. Let's pull the engine out of my house. He was all right, cool. So he brought the car here. We took that engine out in like an hour. Obviously, it was a small block Chevy, but at that time, we didn't know.
This is the motor out of the red car.
Yeah, we didn't know a whole lot, but he had already sold it, and it had been like weeks. The guy was, I guess, asking, you know, his deal. So we pulled it out in an hour, and he was like, "Oh shit!" He's like, "You can wrench." I'm like, "Yeah." At that time, I had been working on Hondas for years. I had been doing side jobs too, but not like I was more on the repair thing, like just maintenance, you know, doing those kind of jobs. And so that kind of like he was like, man, well, we pulled this thing out fast together. So he had his first LS job. I think it was his first, I don't know, but we did it here on the side of the house. It was
I remember that.
It was the blue truck, Chris from Single Cab.
Yep.
It was I think his motor went out or something, so we swapped it. Whatever. That was easy. It was kind of like R&R, so I was real familiar with it. It wasn't performance, so I was like, all right, whatever. We got that out. The second one.
Sorry.
And you're spilling it?
Man, no. This is just condensation. You know what I'm saying?
The second one was Tino, president of the Single Cab Arizona chapter. We cammed and converted his truck that he has now in 2014. It was 2014. We did it on the side of the house. We did the springs cam. I think it was Lunati Springs. I don't even know if Texas Speed or Brian Tiller were. I mean, they were probably out.
They were out,
but they weren't like what they are now. They're like huge. But then we had Lunati Springs. I think it was a comp cam, Circle D converter. So it was still a Circle D converter, and we had cam swapped it and did a converter on it, whatever, right here on the side of the house, and it wouldn't run. And we were like, why doesn't it run?
Bruh. Things that make you go.
Yeah, but he didn't know either. He was like, I don't know, like it should run, this and that. And I'm like, well, maybe it needs like a little more octane in the gas.
Oh wow.
I was like, what do we put octane boosters in there? But it did run better.
I did not know any of this.
Yeah, so wow. But it did run better. I mean, whether it was in our heads or whatever. But I was like, we should probably throw some octane boosters, higher the octane on the fuel. Maybe it'll run better. And I mean, I thought it did. Maybe it didn't. So that was like our first experience doing. I think he had already done your car though at that point.
Yeah, my car was
you
LS
you
swapped.
guys had already done your car.
Yeah, my car was LS swapped in 2010.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it was the platform.
So I guess it wasn't his first. His first. So he had a little bit of hands on yours too. I think a little bit.
Oh yeah, it was 100%. Yeah, his first LS LS, anything was my car.
Was your car.
Yeah. And obviously it was my first LS too. You know,
Right.
I didn't, you know. I did he did a lot of reading. Weird that I just kind of bounce off and stuff like that.
Yeah, squirrel?
Squirrel. Still back then, still now. Crazy.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, that was the first one. And fuck, the very first version of the car with the LS, it was so fucked. It was so bad.
Well, I remember after we had already like kind of all clicked up, you were
still pretty bad, but whatever.
You were doing a fuel injection conversion because at that time, I think yours was still carbureted.
It was carbureted.
You were going EFI, and you had gotten some like reworked harness, which actually turned out to be pretty good. But
it's the harness that's still in the car that you reworked to make it into the Terminator X is the same harness that it got back then.
Oh, I didn't know that.
That was the same harness, yeah. So,
well, I mean, it works still today.
It works great. That guy, shout out to Shannon Taylor, wherever you are, man.
Hey, I reworked it, so it's not you no more.
That harness was awesome. I mean,
for the time, that was great.
I mean, for what it was just a junkyard repinned harness, or whatever he did. I know it was used connectors and stuff like that, but it works. You know, it's whatever. I mean, that's kind of like the whole hack job mentality too. It's
that's where it came from at the end of the day.
Yeah.
But I remember we were at your house 3-4 o'clock in the morning.
Oh, the good old days.
Working on your car, trying to figure out the EFI because it wouldn't fire up.
Yep.
And the first day we got it to fire up, it was like 4 o'clock in the morning. Started it up and it's loud as crap, and you're just rah. I was like, this guy's neighbors don't care. He's like, oh, they're my cousins both sides. Yeah. I'm like, all right, I guess. That's even worse. They're going to be like
forgiveness versus permission. Yeah. So I think I think my car really sparked up the whole, between us anyways, the whole idea and the kind of the snowball of what it ended up being.
Well, I guess he wouldn't have had
I could be wrong, I don't know.
No, he wouldn't have had hands-on experience if it wasn't for your car.
I would say eventually it would have happened.
Yeah.
Eventually.
Yeah.
It was bound to happen, but or maybe I don't know, because it's hard to say, because it was the confidence, and that's with anything. I mean, even when we started the shop, confidence is like super like it's with everything, you know. You got to have confidence into what you believe in, and you have to continue that. And I think we
we went through a lot of struggles with the shop, but like saying like, all right, so the way the shop happened,
right?
Do you remember how it happened? Vaguely, or
maybe like 5 whiskeys in right now, very vaguely.
So I
please
think
elaborate.
Where were you working the time when we opened the shop?
So when you
had a job.
Yeah. So when we started to talk about the shop, and when we actually opened it, when we opened up the shop, I was working up at a dealer. I was working up at Dodge.
Were you, or were you still at the call center?
No. I was working up at Dodge.
Were at Dodge.
Yeah, because I came back from driving over the road, and then I got a job as a lube tech.
That was after?
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah. So I got a job as a lube tech at Dodge, and that's around the time when it was like official. It was like, all right, cool, we found a spot, and you and 100% committed at that time.
Well, no, I wasn't. So I had a county job.
Right. Yeah, you were working in the prisons.
Yeah. So I had retirement. I had all that. I had good benefits, whatever. So he had found a spot, and he was like, "Hey, he's all, I want to open a shop. We've been talking about it, this and that. He's all, I'd like to go 3 ways. He's all on the shop rent. Mm-hmm. He's all, if we could go 3 ways and kind of get it going. Yep. He's all, that'd be cool. And I was like, well, yeah. At that time, I had a decent job and
expendable money.
Yeah, and I had but I hadn't planned on leaving. And then you had your job, and
I hadn't planned on leaving either. I was actually I was working and taking classes and stuff through the Mopar program to become, mainline technician and everything like that. So I was like,
so you had found the spot.
Yeah.
and I was going. I got up 2:30, so I got up kind of early for what I thought at the time. I was like, oh, I could put in a couple hours after work. So we were at a shop, very first shop. It was like, it wasn't even a shop. It was a bay. We rented a bay. That was pretty much. We had no lifts. We had very, very minimal tools. If like I had shit.
There was a tire wall separating.
There was a tire wall separating us from the other shop, whatever. So we had a maximum of 4 truck, or I'd say truck capacity at that time, and I would go in after work and I'd help him wrench till it got to be like kind of pointless. It was like, what am I'd go to work and I'd be like, what am I doing here? I could be doing this on my own shop, getting it to go, you know?
Yeah.
So I ended up quitting my job probably 2 weeks in, 3 weeks in of opening the shop, just because I figured I thought it was going to go somewhere. So I was like, yeah, I'm quitting. So I quit. I went in full time with him. We were there, and the way things were going, because he was there full time first, he was running it like a backyard, and I was like, oh, like this is not the way a business runs. So I was like, let's keep receipts. I have a credit card, and we'll buy everything on the credit card, keep the receipts, and then when the job pays, I'll pay it off, whatever. And started kind of getting the system going. And obviously at that time the work was cheap, but
everything was cheap back then.
Yeah, but like we were barely starting off, so the labor was cheap, but the bill would be higher than he would expect. And he's like, well, are you sure? And I'm like, well, yeah, this guy's got to pay for the parts, and this is our labor, right? And he's like, all right. So then he talked to the customer, and I remember a few customers getting kind of mad about the price even back then, and it was dirt cheap.
I mean, they will always get mad.
Yeah, but I guess he didn't quote it right or whatever. This and that. And
that
he's
was
like,
the issue with that.
And he's like, oh, I have the he's like, he has the receipts. He's keeping the books, whatever. So we did that. And an opportunity came. I had a real good friend at that time. We were real close. Well, we were still real close. But Hector, H Builds, you know.
He was your really good friend back then?
Well, he's still a good friend now.
Wow.
Yeah. But he was a good friend back then.
He's like my best friend.
Oh, he don't even like you.
I know.
Anyways.
Nobody likes his short ass anyways.
So we were in that one bay shop. And I got to talking to him, and I was like, man, there's some opportunity here. I was like, you wanna like invest a little bit? And he was like, well, what do you mean? And I told him about like some exhaust stuff that we'd paid for and what he could make, this and that. And I thought he could make some good money. I figured it was a good business deal for him. So he was like, well, I got a buddy with a shop. He's trying to get rid of this and that. So Hector joined forces with all of us.
I think that's when I actually went in full time.
No, I think it wasn't until like the movie theater.
Oh no,
shop.
yeah, it was across the other side. Yeah, because
so we were there for like a month.
Yeah, it was a month. Yeah,
because we got screwed over.
Oh yeah.
But anyway, so Hector from H Builds, he had actually bought the first lift that we had. Mm-hmm. And we were working off that first lift when we got screwed out of the first place after like a month, or the second place after a month.
It's the one that Tino has right now.
Tino? Oh, the lift. Yeah, I think it is.
That is.
Yeah. So then we ended up by the movie theaters on San Miguel, where it seems to be popping in those little warehouse.
I would say
things.
so. Yeah, right now it's pretty popular. Yeah. I think that's where I was.
That's when you ended up quitting your job because I was talking you into quitting your job because we needed help because we were already.
Yeah, it was growing, and it was getting to where eventually it was, and it was apparent that we just needed help overall.
Yeah, but I don't even know if we were in a year at that point.
No, I think it was really, really early on at that place at this old shop.
Yeah.
I always refer to it as the old shop. And I remember getting really excited about that place because it seemed like an actual
It was our own
shop. Yeah, it was like you got your work bays, it had space, it had room for whatever, and it had your office. We had a parts room and everything like that. It was like super legit, and I was like super excited about it. And then when I came fully on board, I was like, hell yeah. And I remember trying to bring in some ideas to the table, and it just didn't really sit too well with him. At least with him, anyways. I don't know how it was with you.
Well, so where I was at that point is we'd moved in there, and I thought the same thing. I was like, all right, we got a full blown shop now. Like, now's the time to let's register the name, let's get the EIN, let's get the business license, let's get everything situated so it's legit.
Yeah.
And I remember
backyard builds.
Yeah, no, we weren't doing that no more. So I was like, all right, we're growing, we're about to do it. I want to just keep growing. Mm-hmm. Like, I didn't have a plan on let's stop. I just wanted to grow, get big. And he was like, no, I kind of want it small. And I'm like, well, I don't. I was like, I want to get it. So we have, let's file taxes, let's get licenses, let's do everything, have accounts, let's do all.
I think he was just too afraid to take that extra step because he was super comfortable and he had his lifestyle worked around what it was. And so he didn't want to take. Yeah.
So I did the research and I figured out how to do everything myself without paying somebody. And I remember this was before you were full time. So I'd approached it to him and I was like, hey man, well, I'm doing this and that. You got a problem with it? He's like, nope. And I was like, all right, cool. I'm going to do it. You want your name on it? He said, no, I don't. I don't want my name on it. I said, all right, that's cool.
Blast back.
Yeah. I also asked you the same, but you had your full-time job, and I think
at the time I was like, yeah, no, not right now.
Yeah. You said no too, so I said, all right, cool. Well, I'm going to file it this way, and that's the way it went. Mm-hmm. But I didn't do it. I didn't file everything and say, oh, this is 100% mine. Because later on down the road, we split it and everything else. Yeah. But at that time, a couple months had went by, and he wanted out. He didn't want to do it no more. Mm-hmm. And I quit a really, really good job to go in 100%.
Yep.
And you had quit. At that time, you were already quit. And you were going in 100% too. Yep. So then for somebody to be like, I don't want to do it no more. I want to back out. Let's close up. No.
It's not an option.
I just changed my whole lifestyle for this. Like, we're not closing up. Plus, we have some odd cars there that were.
I think we're in the middle of like 3 large builds, like high dollar builds.
Yeah, at that time for us.
Yeah, for what it was. Yeah,
for what it was at that time.
North of like, I guess at the time
it was over like $10,000.
Yeah, that was pretty big for us.
For us, at that time it was big. Yeah. But yeah, he was like, nope, I'm done with it. I'm getting a job, and because it was tough at that beginning stage. We weren't making what we should or could have been. I mean, we made what we should have. We were barely starting off, but it wasn't up to his standards. So he wanted to quit. He wanted to get a job, this and that, and this. So I was all right, cool, whatever. He's all, I'll come in on my days off. His days off, he didn't show up, whatever.
Mm-hmm. More important, it was he left the customers hanging.
Yeah, he left the customers hanging because he was the one dealing with them. And we started seeing other little issues here and there. Yep. And we were like, oh, what's really going on now? Mm-hmm. So I wanted to recoup some money that I thought.
Yeah, because you had. It was all on your card.
Yeah. I remember. Yeah. Well, I had it was all on me.
Yeah.
The lease, everything was on me. So
I never thought that was like completely fair.
Yeah. So there was some kind of
at the time
issues going with money. So I sold some parts that were just chilling, laying around. And I was like, oh, I'm getting rid of these. We need to pay some bills around here. And they're just sitting here. Supposedly, these customers didn't pay. Whether that was true or not, We don't know, but we questioned a real good buddy of ours now, Tino, and he supposedly didn't pay back then, you know. And Chicken Alex here had asked him, and he's like, "Hey man, did you pay?" He's like, "Yeah, I paid." And that's when we were like, "Oh, okay. This is what kind of business deal we're going."
I still don't believe him to this day.
You don't think you paid?
No, I don't think he paid.
Tino, you better pay up.
You better pay. Got it right here.
Yeah. But anyway, so that's how that went. He had to leave. He expected us to leave too, and I was like, "Yeah, that's not gonna happen, man. We got too much invested in this."
No.
And so we kept going. We finished those jobs.
Took a while to recuperate the money.
Yeah, we finished those jobs, and at that time, we weren't what we are now as far as skilled wise. I don't think.
I don't think so. I mean, I'm still pretty dumb, but whatever.
Oh yeah, you are.
I mean, better than you.
Shit, no. So we moved from there. We recouped. Moved from there to the big shop, of course. And we did pretty good there.
I would think.
At the beginning, we were kicking ass, and then COVID hit.
Yeah.
COVID hit, and we made it through COVID. For the overhead that we had and still making it through COVID, I think we did pretty damn good.
I think it was. I mean, I was living pretty comfortable, I guess. We got to do a lot of stuff. I mean, we were our own bosses, and
we were at Laughlin every few months at that time.
Yeah.
LS
Fest. We got all the car shows. We'd go to. I mean, we sponsored one.
Yeah.
Helped sponsor one, I guess. I mean, it wasn't a whole lot of money, but it was like, you know, for what we were. I never considered us a large company, but it was like, you know, for what we were. I thought it was okay. I mean, small business is, for whatever it is. I mean, you could do whatever type of line of business, and when you're doing that kind of stuff, that's a pretty good accomplishment. I was pretty proud of us.
Yeah, we did real good. We made it through COVID and everything else, and when we closed the big shop, it wasn't because we weren't super busy. We had the people. It was just
I think you still have right now. You have people rolled over from then.
Oh yeah, I mean, I still returning customers, this and that. Yeah. It was just, it didn't seem smart to pay what they were asking, and with the economy kind of like a little iffy. Mm-hmm. So I personally didn't want to do it. I mean, you had already kind of wanted to get your ducks in a row doing something else. So.
Right. Yeah. I mean, it was just really. I remember having the conversation where we had to make an ultimatum. And I didn't think it was fair to you to have me on board still to, and this is just my opinion, as kind of taken away from where you would be making more money if I took a step back, because I feel like it was the volume wasn't there to support two people. It was enough there to support one person, and I knew I can get back up on my feet a lot easier and faster than not necessarily you, but I was just, you know, saying like, hey, I want the shop to continue.
And you kind of wanted to do something else too.
I wanted to, because I was kind of over it, but I mean, look where I'm at now. I'm still kind of doing the same fucking shit.
And now you still kind of want to do something like that. So
whatever. But I mean, more importantly, it was me. My main thought process at the time was, I want the shop to keep going. I want it to be something. I didn't, because we put a fuck ton of work into it, and I didn't want it to die.
We made it pretty far. I mean, so that brings us to our headache customers. So I put it on there because you learn from crappy people.
I mean, everybody in this line of business, you're going to have shitty people. I mean, flat out.
Well, that's
you can't make everybody happy.
No, you can't make everybody happy, and that's when you learn how to fix certain issues that you didn't even think was a problem. Because I think out of all our customers, we did it for 5 years. Mm-hmm. The big shit for 5 years. We've dealt with thousands of customers.
I don't. Yeah, I mean, probably. Yeah.
Thousands of customers. can you count 10 bad customers?
Not 10. I can count probably like 5.
Yeah, I couldn't count very many. I can't count 10. I know that for sure.
Yeah.
So,
It was always pretty good. Like it was a.
But those 5 people made us restructure everything. Every time we'd have a bad issue with somebody, we'd restructure it to make sure that either we did a better job or we covered ourselves, because at the end of the day, obviously, we're going to cover ourselves.
Well, I mean, that's a given. It has to be like that, and that's why there's rules, there's changes and stuff like that. Every different line of business, whatever you do, there's always
you learn from the bad experience.
And you have to have those bad experiences. Like I mentioned years ago, I remember having this same conversation. It's like we have to have some shitty thing to happen in order to learn from it. I was like, it's going to happen, and we should prepare for it. Well, it didn't really happen, but
it didn't. We didn't learn until after it happened.
Preparing for it didn't happen, but it is what it is. But yeah, I'm just happy that you're still actually doing it, and I really hope one day I can get back into it. But
I guess the problem is we had a lot of different views too. Like we never argued about nothing, but we had different views of how things could go. Because you're more performance based kind of guy.
I like it.
I don't. I like the more custom, like C10 stuff, and
I do too. I mean, I really enjoy that stuff, and I think when we were shifting the shop into more of that, I was enjoying it a lot more too. I was like, man, this shit's. I mean, it's cool. Like, I mean, the whole like Dino's Get Down kind of thing.
Oh, that shout out to Dino. If you ever watch this, you're an all-star in the Arizona scene.
I think and my eyes and our eyes. I mean, that's awesome. That in itself is such a it's so vast and different.
So
and
like
awesome.
You know how like everybody's known for some like California's probably like known. Arizona's a big scene too, but I think California's more the lowrider scene.
I mean, it depends on who you ask.
That started in California, I would assume. Kind of. I mean, it was here too, but it was California. And then hot rod scene is the same, California.
Also, because of lake beds. Yeah.
And then you have the East Coast, it's like donks and big wheel cars. The South. The South, more of the South.
Yeah.
And then Texas got trucks. Texas got like the newer trucks, lifted trucks, fast trucks.
Well, that on the gas is really popular.
Yeah, Flacco and all them. But I would say Arizona is known for C10s. C10s is our thing. You have all the big names here. Anybody that's anybody in the C10 game is here. Dalmo's here. He's from California, or I think he's from Canada.
I don't know.
He's from Canada, but he's here now, so he's Arizonan. We're claiming you. You have Dino's. Dino's, I think, is from here. If not, he's been here long enough.
I think the Get Down's probably is the biggest C10 show.
You have
I don't know if it's up to what's that one in Auburn that happens all the time?
Oh, the Intervention.
The Intervention, I think that might be the biggest one on the West Coast.
No, that one's small. I've been there. I mean, it's big, but it's not like it's not Dino's. Dino's
last year.
Dino's is huge.
That one was, and I'm really looking forward to this year's too.
You have Big Ten here.
Yeah.
You have High Test. You have Trey 5.
Trey 5, yeah. They're
Supreme Garage is coming up in the C10 world.
Yes.
I would like to say Hackjobs Performance is coming up in the C10 world, but I don't know if it's there yet. It's getting there.
I would hope so. I think it has its roots planted to where it can potentially get up there with the big dogs and stuff like that. Yeah.
But I think Arizona is known for the C10s for sure. I think.
Well, Arizona is known for hot rodding and classic custom cars. Yeah. I mean it's a big melting pot of whatever. You have your car show, race car. Custom cars, like your collector cars is huge.
Yeah, well, that's Barrett Jackson. We're Barrett Jackson here.
So, and then lowriding scene here is huge.
The Super Show.
Well, yeah, that's one of the.
Shoot, the Superiors tomorrow. We going or what?
I mean, it depends. It's already kind of late. We'd have to wake up.
How long is this?
I don't know.
We're gonna have to cut it short because people aren't gonna watch it this long. I don't think, but we'll see. We're gonna keep going. Fuck it.
Hell yeah.
So plans for your car?
So the car right now, my plan is to do a drag and drive.
So I'm doing the drag and drive. We talked about that a little bit earlier.
You're going to be doing what I would eventually like to do.
If Chris doesn't blow it up, Chris Ortiz, Modern Performance, or I think he's somewhere else in South Carolina.
Yeah, so Keith at Modern Performance. Yes.
Chris is going to blow it up.
Yeah. Well, I'm just saying Keith is Modern Performance.
Yeah, Keith's Modern Performance.
Shout out to Modern Performance.
Yeah. Yes. But yeah, so that's your thing is do a drag and drive.
Ultimately,
Rocky Mountain Race Week.
Oh yeah, I would love to. I'd love to have another one.
Oh yeah, 100%. We're gonna finish this bottle tonight of
probably
of this whiskey,
but
Tennessee whiskey.
The cars eventually, in my eyes, I would love to have a drivable race car that is capable of doing, 9s or 8s.
Yeah,
that's what I would love to do.
That's the goal is to be able to drive it and race it.
Yeah.
Like we got the Hackjobs name or whatever, but that's just a cliche, really. We don't really we're aiming to build some badass shit.
Yeah, absolutely.
We're trying to drive ours.
Yeah, I mean, I'm a firm believer, and nothing against the guys that do their, A to B cars.
Oh no, because I would have a dedicated car too.
I would love to have a dedicated race car. Yeah, it's not in the budget. It's just there's the guys that are out there that'll do it, and great for them. They made it because they have that expendable money, and they got their shit in a row. I would hope they have their ducks in a row, whatever.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, but I mean, to me, that's fun and all. But what's even better is, I just drove my car from Bakersfield, California to Nebraska, and I still pulled off an 850 pass.
There's people out there doing it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
How hardcore is that?
That's gangster shit.
I think that's some gangster stuff,
Thank you.
Oh, thank you.
Yeah.
The guys that are doing 7s, 6s, or 8, even the 8th mile stuff. I mean, I like the 8th mile stuff. Don't get me wrong.
But you're old school.
Well, I like having a real time on my car.
I like the 8th mile prep, no prep stuff.
I like
personally.
The no prep is cool, but whatever. It's not me. To each their own. Different strokes for different folks.
I'm gonna have to have a cage put in my car so I don't die.
Well, speaking of my car, that's where it's at right now. It's getting caged. It's getting recaged. The original cage that was put in it was not up to par. Nothing wrong with it, but I just, if I'm going to be planning on going that kind of fast, I'm sure the old lady and the daughter would like to see me hanging around for a while.
Yeah.
At least my daughter. I don't know about the old lady. She probably could live without me.
Probably. I don't doubt it. But yeah, that's the plan for my cars too. Is safety if it. Yeah. Eventually.
So that's the plan for the car, is to be a drive and drag car. That's my thing. I really like that stuff, and I think our friends, because we got a bunch of mutual friends that we've gained over the years that are doing it, the no prep stuff, all those guys. I mean, I'm all on board for all the guys, Team Arizona. You know what I mean? I love 100%. It. I love seeing everybody succeed, even if we don't really, chop it up as much as we used to. I'm in the background rooting for you guys. It's awesome. I fucking love it.
That's where I'm at with my car too. Is I want to show more of a show car, race car type deal. Not like a drag and drive. I'd rather take it to the show, and then if it runs quick too, that's good for me. But future builds. I know you got quite a bit of future builds because you got a couple cars.
Chill.
So you have a deluxe 50s bomb.
So what? Yes.
What's plans with that?
So it's a 52 Styline Deluxe. That's going to be, I don't know. That's
like a lowrider or something, or what are you doing?
No, I mean, growing up, I had my homies. They were into low riding and stuff like that, and they still are. I mean, I love those guys. I wish I could talk to them more than what than what I do now, but whatever. They were big into low riding, and I just it's just to me it's just not me. I'm not 100% that guy. I'm not gonna do a full blown lowrider with the different murals and different types
of clean classic.
Yeah, I mean that's nothing against those guys. I mean their cars and their builds they're great. I mean they take dedication, time, money. I mean the whole nine. I mean they're beautiful cars. That's just not my cup of tea. I mean I'm more of like I like the lowrider look, kinda. But I want to be able to bust your ass from this light to the next light.
Even in a lowrider.
In a lowrider, yeah. So
yeah, I don't see nothing wrong with that. My 64 pickup is a swap. It's slow, but whatever.
But I mean, it's still pretty quick for what it is. I mean, it's not designed to race, but it's got the right stuff. In my opinion, I think everything should have an LS in it.
Same. So you're gonna put an LS in the?
I am gonna put an LS in the Styline. Yeah.
No, not in that.
Oh.
Well, I figured you would put an LS in that. It'd be crazy not to. So you also have a dually.
Yeah, 97 dually crew cab, long bed. Yeah, call it the Hulk. You know what I'm saying?
What spines with that?
So that is future plans is to do your typical, slam it. I don't know if I want to put semi wheels on it. I think I want to kick it with the 16-inch Alcoas.
With the small Alcoas?
I think...
Kicking 90 style?
I think
with your Boyd Coddington old ass?
I like it. Call me crazy, but I like the look. I just like how original it looks. And I've always loved the crew cab dually OBS. I mean, as a kid... I remember looking at some dude in Hemet, and I remember that truck specifically because it's like the thing that keeps burning in the back of my head. It was a red on red crew cab dually Silverado, and it was lowered enough. I don't think he was on bags, but it was just lowered on the Alcoas, the 16s that they would come with, and it was just long and it was low, and to me, it was like, holy shit, that thing's low, but you can still pull something. And that's my plan for the truck is to be low, be able to pull plus 15,000 pounds if I really wanted to. So super functional. I'm on the fence of either doing a Cummins or a Duramax swap. I think I'm going to do a Duramax swap.
Not an LS swap? I thought you said LS swap everything.
I would love to do the LS, but I think for the towing portion of it, you can't beat a diesel. No, I mean, there's
definitely
it is what it is. So I'm gonna educate myself on the Duramax a little bit more. But I mean,
I thought about LS swapping, diesel swapping my 73. I wanted to do a Cummins, but because I'm not so familiar with it, I was like,
I think you should take a leap forward and just kind of dive into it. I mean, 10 years ago, were you so familiar with an LS like you are now?
Well, not 10 years ago, no.
Well, let's say 5 years ago.
5 years ago I was, I think.
Maybe 5.5.
Maybe not like
5 3/4.
Not how I am now. If you're not learning every day, you're probably not doing your job. If you're not learning something new, if you're not soaking it in, you're not doing your job.
Well, if you're not turning wrenches and you're not learning, if you're turning wrenches and you're not learning, there's something wrong.
Yeah. So obviously, I'm still learning to this day. I would like to think I'm a little better.
I mean, I think I don't know. I've lost my niche from
wrenching.
A little bit, yeah.
I
mean, it is what it is. But like I said, I still want to eventually, maybe one day, get back into this, but we'll see. Yeah. We'll see how the road goes.
So I think we covered who inspired you in the scene. That was Boyd, I guess.
I wouldn't say that's him, but a part of it.
Had a lot to do with
it. Had some to do with it. I'm very I don't know. I'm very random.
I think mine I would say was more Orange County Choppers. With
I was around the same time, yeah.
With the dad and the son.
Yeah.
I used to watch that a lot, and then Chip Foose with the overhauling.
Oh, that was a great show.
Yeah, he inspired me a lot, and as years went on, Aaron Kaufman, Texas Metal does some badass shit.
That they do. They that if you can strive to be a badass shop, that is one of the premier ones, man. That is, in my opinion. Anyways.
But they do more like realistic stuff, because Kindig does some badass shit too. But his is, I feel like you can't drive that kind of stuff. Maybe you can, but it's
you can.
Show.
Oh my gosh, yeah. Whatever
that's a work of art.
Everything he puts out is just so pretty and it's beautiful.
You don't want to drive it. If you even if you can, you don't want to.
If you can afford his builds, I mean, that's to each their own. If I had that kind of money and I was able to afford him, I'd still drive my shit.
Yeah, I guess.
I come, you got different people that are coming from wealth, and the people that build up to that, their views are 100% different. And I'm not saying I'm going to be rich, but I'd love to be rich.
Well, wouldn't everybody?
Yeah.
So what's your thoughts on the scene today?
Scene today. So the racing scene, you mean?
The car scene in general.
The car scene in general. The car scene, in my opinion, has blown up astronomically. I think social media has a lot to do with it. I think a lot of the younger generation is getting into it in a different type of kind of way.
Yeah.
So the teens that are now that are getting into what the saturated scene is, the car scene in general, I think is good, but it kind of, I don't know, I think it's losing its value in the sense of like, you had your hot rodding scene and you were I guess you can call it the segregation is what it is. Of like different types of vehicle builds, but I'm always one of that always appreciates that whole really lame saying. I appreciate all kinds of builds that you see everywhere. It's
I'm the same way.
I can appreciate everything that's out there.
Yeah.
I'm a hater though.
Yeah, I know you are. I'm
a hater.
I'm not. I appreciate everything,
but I'm a hater. Yeah.
Yeah, you are. 100%.
Yeah.
The lowrider scene, I think, is coming back, and it's great.
I think so. I love the fact that the lowriding scene here is just getting
it's
so
coming
big.
back here.
I love it.
The C10 scene here is blowing up,
and I think that's helping out the lowriding scene too.
It might be. I think
so. And it's
the racing scene is a little.
I don't think Arizona's ever been really big in the racing,
the racing scene's a little hit or miss. Like you have newer cars that come with 500-600 horsepower, and it's like the newer hot rodding kids. They're not really messing with that. They have to pay somebody to do that. Well, they don't have to, but they are.
Well, yeah. I mean, it's not. I mean, even with our generation, we had those
the
type of cars.
There were 300, 400, or 300.
I consider when we got out of high school I think, and I always look at the generation of when they're kind of out of high school, starting to live their own life. What's available to them then?
Yeah.
We graduated high school 07, 08, right?
Yeah.
So back then, what was the supercars back then?
CTSV, I think.
CTSV for GM,
supposedly 400.
The Vets, the Mustang,
C6s.
The Mustangs were not quite there, but yeah, you still had your supercharged, the SVT stuff. You had Dodge's neon stuff.
That was fast but slow.
Right, the SRT4 program. Then you had the SRT8. The Chargers, Chryslers. That was big stuff.
Yeah, that was.
And that was kind of, to me, in my opinion, that was the kind of start of
big muscle car.
Yeah,
shit.
well, the manufacturer is starting to dip back into
Yeah.
like how they were like in the 60s, 60s, 70s, which is exciting because if you've educated yourself on that generation of car scene or muscle car stuff, it's history repeats itself. And then now it's like technology is just, Hellcat stuff's 700 plus horsepower from the factory.
It's crazy. It's crazy.
What?
The shit.
The
only thing I don't agree with is the takeover stuff, the swinging.
No, it's so stupid. I think that's
and the street racing. Like I don't like when we did it way back in the middle of nowhere.
Yeah,
we didn't do it in the actual city street racing.
Right. Yeah,
there was no one around. Whatever.
Well, that was I think that was just the people that we hung around with. There were still people doing it
in the city.
Yeah, and there still will always be that, just because you have a bunch of idiots.
Well, and especially if these tracks keep closing up.
Yeah.
Luckily, ours stayed open.
Yeah.
So we're good. We're grateful for that. So thoughts on the scene today. What shop is doing big things in your eyes?
Big things?
Yeah, like what's your like you know what, they're doing good. Like,
I mean, I'm
happy for it. You're a hater, so we won't say you're happy for him, but be like,
no,
yeah.
I mean, I'm genuinely happy for him. It's just I get a little salty, like I get a little jealous, is what it is, because I wish it was me. I think in town, anyways.
Yeah, we'll keep it local.
Just local stuff, okay?
Not nothing crazy.
I think first and foremost is Keith down at Modern. I think he has been, I think he started off with his dad doing it and stuff with Fox Body Performance. Yeah. He's staying afloat. He's making it. He's still doing it, and I think
he's been around forever.
Forever. I love it, and I mean, I've learned a lot from him, and I think we've taken away some stuff with our stuff.
Oh yeah, I mean? Like we all talk freely, and I think we pick up a little bit from him and Chris.
And to me, when you are one to withstand time like that, I think you're doing it well. You figured something out, and that's like my top guys. You know what I mean? And I say that with the fact that I know them. We know them personally. And we know Keith real good. I'm not saying real good, but just good enough to where it's like we have a really good friendship like that. Relationship. Yeah. I'd say shops locally that are still relevant and that are doing really well. I mean, in the racing scene, anyways. I mean, you got Cords. Joe
Cords is probably the top dog in the racing scene.
I think for the GM stuff, yeah. I mean, absolutely. He's figured it out, and good for him. I remember when he first started up, it was, from my understanding anyways, and that's just my opinion, there was some hiccups and stuff like that.
Well, any shop.
But any shop like that. But
Mario, Mika's Performance too, or Mika's Motorsports, or
Mika Motorsports. Yeah, Mario. Yeah.
Well, he helped start Cords too.
Yeah, absolutely. So. I think they owe a lot to him. Yeah. Because Mario is a smart motherfucker.
He's definitely smart.
Yeah.
That's somebody I look up to. I don't hate on anybody, but I feel like sometimes I think maybe I'm a dummy.
Are you
but
envious?
Sometimes I think I know more than people, but that's one person I definitely know I don't know more than I know for a fact I don't know more than him.
Mario is
he's smart.
He is a
smart
very very smart guy, and I think Arizona LS stuff and Gen 5 stuff, if anybody could benefit from talking to somebody, if he's willing to talk about it, which he's willing to talk.
Well, he has a tech line.
Oh,
shout out to Mika Motorsports. I think that's what he's called. He has a tech line. You have to pay him, but he'll talk to you and answer your questions, and I guarantee he'll answer it right.
Worth every penny, I think, is my opinion. Yeah. And I remember Mario back in the street racing game, before, like right around the time when he got his gold GTO. I mean, that's a long time ago, and he figured it out back then how to sandbag, and he was fucking everybody up, and I was like, that guy is cool as shit. Hi, my name's Chicken.
Yeah. Well, I'd have to agree with you on modern and chords. For me, I'm more, like I said, I'm more on the custom side. So I would say I strive for Tray 5. I think Tray 5 is still growing though, and they're not done. They're big for sure.
Yeah.
But they have a lot more to keep going. And I mentioned a bunch of them earlier: the Hogan, High Test, Delmo, and all them. But they're already big, so that's like, they're already there.
Yeah, I think
I'm thinking
the guys that start as like an underdog, you know what I mean, and then they build up to where
I'll even say the shop. I think they're doing big things too.
The shop. Oh,
the shop. The shop.
The shop. Yeah.
Those guys. I mean, I never hear any bad things about them.
Yeah, I don't think so either. Yeah, I never looked into them too fully, but I know that they've kicked out some good stuff.
Yeah,
I mean,
and they've been around.
They were
a
in
decent amount of time
and
too.
the no prep stuff too.
Yeah.
They had some fast stuff out there.
I would give a shout out to the shop of the newer, the newer stuff.
Newer performance.
Yeah,
shops,
the newer ones coming up.
Yeah, definitely. You got to throw in, what the heck's his name?
Wow.
Street Life.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, Rudy.
Rudy?
Yeah, Rudy. Yeah, Street Life Performance. Yeah, Rudy's been doing it for a long time.
Yeah, he's been around for a while.
From my perspective, Rudy was a guy when it came down to like 2JZ stuff. Yeah, that was. And he's always had some fast shit in the street racing scene.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess Q's Garage is coming up in the LT stuff, too. Q's.
I haven't really looked into them too much.
Was it Adrian and Jesse? Jesse. Well, we know Jesse.
Oh, yeah, Jesse.
Adrian, we don't really know too well. But
I've met him a couple of times. But, yeah, Jesse, that's...
I think they're doing pretty big things in the LT world. I don't even dip into that. I don't even want to do that. That's just me.
I mean, the custom car scene is so big and diverse that you don't really have to. You can stick to one thing and be really good at it, and you should be okay.
Yeah. So that's shop's doing big things. Shop or builder shout out or props. Shop or builder shout out props. You got anybody you want to? I mean, me personally, I would shout out Heck H Builds.
Oh, of course.
Omar, Twin Built Racing.
Twin Built Racing, yes.
Crumbs, Mario, Valley Dipsy calling it nowadays?
I don't know what he's doing.
I don't know. Shout out Crumbs. We got Robbie.
Little Crumbs, you know what I'm saying? Robbie V Racing.
Robbie V.
Yeah, Robbie V Racing.
Because those are all our people.
Yeah, that's part of the team right there. That's the team. Yeah, I think eventually you may be able to get some of the smaller guys that are out there on the podcast. That'd be great. Maybe expose them a little bit. I know that would help them out a bunch.
Yeah. No other shops, Bill?
I mean, there's tons of shops out there. I think But
you don't want to name people that are doing crap work.
No, I
could think of a couple, but I'm not going to name them.
No, I mean their work will speak for themselves. And I'm sure people would say the same about us. Everybody's got their own opinion.
Yeah.
And I don't. As much of a hater I am, I know my boundaries, and
you ain't gotta mention them, huh?
I don't gotta mention nobody. I just hope for the best for everybody because we're all trying to make $1 in this world.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. So closing questions times. In the sports,
love sports.
Favorite teams?
I don't play sports, as you can tell.
Oh, I know that.
I could tell you. You probably are a big sports fan, and how much sun can reflect off your forehead.
That's bald shaming. We don't want to get into fat shaming, because then we'll get canceled.
I know, because you get both worlds, because you bald and fat.
So, what's your favorite teams? You schmuck?
So I really enjoy baseball.
Dodgers.
I love baseball.
Dodgers.
I mean, I'm a Dodger fan, yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I wouldn't say I'm a huge, I know from the 54 World Series who's your lineup players and stuff like that, or even from the 88 World Series,
But you're not a big fan.
I mean, I don't know if that would dictate it as a big fan. You know, I'm a fan. I'm over 300 pounds. I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I would say so.
Yeah, sir.
Basketball? No.
I used to be a basketball fan. I think basketball died in my eyes after the late 90s, early 2000s.
That's probably because he was a Laker fan. We're a Suns fan here.
I was a Laker fan, yes. I would consider myself still a Laker fan because I grew up a Laker fan. I also was a very large Suns fan because of the Charles Barkley era.
That. Well, Charles Barkley's the best.
Yeah.
Kevin Johnson, technically, but whatever.
Whatever. I mean, I was always a Charles
Sean
Barkley.
Marion.
Yeah. I met Sean Marion.
Really?
Yeah. I got his autograph one time.
Must be nice.
Yeah. I was at the Boys and Girls Club.
Football?
I'm a Raider fan.
Huh. Disgusting.
Yeah. I guess it's better than, who would want to be a
Green Bay Packers, she says,
fan.
all the way.
I guess that's cool, if you like being lame. But whatever.
So obviously we drink because we're drinking some whiskey.
Yes.
If you had to choose one, liquor or beer?
I choose liquor.
So what's your go-to?
Jack Daniels.
Tennessee Honey.
Tennessee Honey. That's my favorite.
Not mine. It's a good second. I like Crown Apple.
I mean, yeah, I wouldn't run it past you because you're bald. But whatever.
Well, cool, man. Well, it was nice talking to you. It was nice letting these people know the whole backstory between us. And
I don't know if that's a whole backstory. There's a lot of storytelling to tell, but I guess you can't cram it in.
Wow.
Can't squeeze it in a whole 2 hours worth of a video.
Maybe we'll do a second one and try and detail it a little more.
I would say, keep on trucking and keep on doing your own thing, man.
Thanks, player.
Yeah.
Cool. Well, like and subscribe if you want to hear more. We're going to be going through a few different shops. Hopefully we can get a couple more people on here. And if there's somebody you guys want to see, put it in the comments. Let me know. I'll try and get in contact with them if they want to do it. If they don't, whatever. But I'll strive to do it for you guys. Thank you.